Welcome to Behind the Muscle podcast. Today's guest is an IFBB Pro men's physique athlete and 7-time Olympian. Today's guest is George Brown. George, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing awesome, my man. So I'm excited to chop it up with you. You're actually my first men's physique athlete that I've had on the podcast. So it's going to be a great conversation. So the first question, George, I have for you is, who are a few of your favorite bodybuilders of all time?
I would say Dexter Jackson, definitely. I got a relationship with him. Just to be able to have a relationship with, to me, definitely one of the best bodybuilders ever. It's cool. You learn from just his career. I watched his career and just some of the things that he did to be able to prolong his career, as far as health and training, so definitely Dexter. He's funny also, man. He got a personality, so I always like that too. He's not square. And then, when I was coming up watching Jay Cutler and Kai Green, and it wasn't so much for competing, it was because the way they treated people, and they were like on top, so I got stories with both of them where I seen them at the top of their career and they never let the last person in line, go without giving them what they wanted.
Excellent, man. The second question I like to start each podcast off with: at what age did you start lifting weights, and then why did you start lifting weights at that age?
Probably in I remember trying in middle school. I remember the guys, they could lift 135. I couldn't do that. I was weak. I was never small, but I just didn't have strength like that. So I would say I started to work out in high school. Just through conditioning. I played basketball, I played sports, all sports. So basketball and football, I started training then, and then went on to play college football. So I really, started working out really.
Very cool. So if you don't mind sharing with myself and the listeners, George, I kind of like to get the backstory of my guests. So where did you grow up? And just talk about that childhood, talk about your upbringing, talk about a little bit more in depth the sports that you played, and just paint that picture a little bit up to about high school, and then we'll move on from there.
All right, cool, man. I grew up in Columbus, Ohio. My mother and father, George and Terry. My mom's a teacher. My dad's a Marine. So, from the jump, I got a pretty good, I was pretty lucky. My parents been together for 40 plus years. So I was able to get the structure from my mom's teaching and then my dad's work ethic. So I was able to take that all the way really till now, but grew up North Linden. I was a rec center kid, played all sports, swimming, you name it, I did it. And then I went on to do, like I said, I played basketball, AAU basketball. One of my coaches, Coach Howard, he's like a mentor. He had structure. And so he taught us one thing he said was one goal, one dream, one team. So I always came up on good teams, but each person played a part. It was never really, even our stars, we knew who they were, but they were no different than, anybody else on the team. So that's kind of the structure I grew up in. Ended up playing basketball and football. Luckily, the coaching structure in football was kind of the same mentors. You learn mentality. We used to run the same play and we used to wonder why. As we left, we wondered, we got it. You can't stop it. If you do it the right way, then we're going to continue to run it the right way and have success. So taking those things just from childhood, from AAU basketball, seeing some of the best competition that there was playing that, pretty good high school I went to, like Terry Glenn, other people, that's a high school I went to, so we were winners. And then got a scholarship to play football for Tipping University. And even there, coach, his mentality, he had this thing called no squibs. And at the time, he was like, what is this? Like it was dumb. But it was no shouldas, couldas, wouldas, ifs, or buts. And it taught you not to make excuses, So all of these things that I've learned playing sports brought me up, to college at least. And then I got out of college and, kind of lived life for a little bit.
So what about the educational side of things? Was that something that, obviously your mom being a teacher and with your dad's career, did they push academics pretty hard, or was that not necessarily stressed as much?
Well, definitely. I don't want to say they pushed it, but it was kind of automatic. My mom's a teacher, so she instilled things in me every day from a young age. And then, even when I got out, I started. This what it was. It was kids that had graduated and came back as grown-ups when they used to talk to her. So my grades were pretty good. I went to a pretty tough middle school, grade range wise, like an 87 was an A. I mean, it was a B, so it was pretty tough. I got to high school, I had straight A's up until my senior year, graduated number 7 in my class, so I went to a private school, private college, so academics was kind of automatic for me, like I said, because of my mom. And then, seeing my dad, he always worked 2 jobs, never complained. So when it was time to get up in the morning, I'm watching him, he's already up, so once again, I have to thank my parents for a lot of things, instilling in me.
Were you an only child or did you have siblings as well?
No, I'm the only son. I had 3 other sisters, an older sister and 2 younger. So
very cool. So talk to me a little bit about football. Obviously, you said you played basketball, you swam, you did all the sports when you were younger, but football is what you actually played in college. So what was it about football? I'm sure you probably had some natural ability, but what was it about football specifically, George, that you enjoyed? And what was the biggest lesson that you learned from all your years playing football?
Biggest lesson, I'll answer that first, is learning how a unit plays as one. Because if you're working on a team, and I don't care what it is in anything, if everyone is doing what they're supposed to, then things will work how they're supposed to. So if you take care of your job, that's all you should be worried about, and I still use those strategies when I do business today, what was the first part? I'm sorry. Oh, why did I choose football?
Just what you really appreciated about football.
Yeah. I wasn't 6'8", so it was easier for me to play football than basketball. And it was an opportunity for me to get money for college. And I just liked it. I liked the lawlessness of it, but it was structured, so you could get rid of your energy, and it was teaching you things as far as, like I said, how a unit moves as one. And then I learned, no squibs, which I still use to this day.
Very cool. So is it fair to say, like, when you were younger coming up, that your kind of goal was to be like a professional athlete, or were you kind of set on doing something else after college?
I wouldn't say I was be a professional athlete, but I used to envision like doing something, and now my kids would be coming to watch, my mom, and I'm as it worked out, I'm kind of glad that I didn't play football professionally, because I'd be beat up right now, But I just I kind of seen that the reality of me playing like in the NFL wasn't going to be it. So I more so focused on like things of business, because I like money, so that's what I started to focus on.
So did you study business then in college?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, very cool. So once you kind of finished up with college, you said you kind of live life a little bit. Just talk a little bit about those immediate years after college, and then let's start getting into fitness and bodybuilding.
Okay, that's kind of how it happened. Just came back from college, kind of seeing like working really wasn't my thing. I worked a couple jobs, but the type of life that I wanted to live, it really didn't go with with working, like as far as going to a place, because they didn't pay enough, so hooked up with a friend of mine who got me involved in bodybuilding. And then I did like property preservation, which kind of worked on some houses, and kind of did things that he was doing, so seeing that some of the things were kind of risky, had to start making decisions that I knew would affect my future. And then he happened to get into bodybuilding. He used to show me. So I would go into an office. It was like a warehouse. Property preservation is like working on houses foreclosed or whatever. And he would show me like Jay Cutler and people like that. I didn't know who they were at the time. And he told me he was going to do a show. I didn't know anything about a show, So I'm like, yeah, all right, cool, I'll come. So the day came. Of course, I'm not going to watch guys in their underwear. I'm not going, So he came to work and I'm just like, hey, what's up, man? You know, he's pissed. I mean, pissed. And I'm like, what? You know, so at that point, long story short, I realized that he was like serious with it. So there was another show. I went to that show and ended up seeing Mike Pulley. I always say that. And I ended up seeing Michael Anderson because those were the two people that made me wanted to do men's physique because it was new at the time. You know, so shout out to Mike, both Mikes. I always tell them, you know, without them, I wouldn't have seen it. And then, you know, that's when it started.
So what year approximately is this that you're talking about, George?
Around 2012, I believe.
Okay, cool. So why don't you just share with us then kind of like your first competition. And I know from the research I did, you turned pro at North Americans in 2013. Is that correct?
Correct.
Cool. So just talk about your first show and talk about, because if you're talking about 2012 and then you turned pro in 2013, your contest history, I'm assuming, is pretty small, but just talk about getting into actually competing, please.
So once again, I'm blind. I don't know anything. I hear about Arnold Schwarzenegger. I know he lifts weights. That's it. You know, I don't even know Ronnie Coleman, you know, so we start working out. I'm living in Grove City. I got to drive all the way to like Powell, which is a far drive. He was teaching me lessons that I understand now. And I just, man, I can't afford the gas. He would say, afford it. All right. So I went, I'm eating clean. I don't know it. I'm eating KFC every day, but I'm thinking I'm eating it clean anyway. It's baked chicken and green beans, you know, and then we would go to like I don't know if you guys got it, but it's like a place where you can like pick whatever meat you want. So he taught me how to eat clean. And this is for like, maybe like 28 weeks. You know, I'm just going, I can't be late. I used to miss, and we made a bet, $10 a day if I missed, you know. So the next day I missed. So I came in, I'm like, he's like, where my $10? I ain't no $10. You know, I had to watch my daughter. He said, you knew you had to watch your daughter, you know? So I was pissed. I gave him the $10, but he was right. I couldn't say anything, but made sure he wouldn't be able to say it again. So he's like, hey, you want to do a show? Showed me a guy who it was. I'm thinking like, man, if I could look like that, then yeah, I don't want to look like you. You know, I don't want to be all big like that, you know? So he started basically cutting me down from where I was. So, you know, we're doing it. We're dieting. I'm not knowing that other people are cheating on their diet because I don't know anything. All I know is what he's telling me. So to this day, diet is key. People don't do what they say. That's all it is. But anyway, we get ready for the show. About 14 weeks comes and I don't want to do it anymore, you know. But now I'm thinking like, shit, I already did it, you know, the 14, I might as well finish it out. So now it's time to pose. And I'll never forget the day that we were posing. It was him and another girl. And it was like the way that I had to walk into their living room as if I was going into an audience. Dude, I got to the wall every time for like 30 times and was like, hold up, I'm gonna come back again, you know, just because I felt naked. And everything that anybody who hears this feels when they're about to go compete, that was me. If probably not worse, because remember, there is no men's physique, you know. So finally got up enough courage to go out there, did my first show, didn't place. I was pissed. I mean, pissed. I was like, I felt like I wasted all my time, you know, all this money and energy, and I didn't get anything out of it, you know. So here's a video of me where I told him, man, why would somebody ever want to do this again? Like, this is stupid, you know. So he left me alone for a couple months, asked me if I wanted to do, you know, when he knew, because he know how I am. I said, yeah, started working back out again. He eased it in on me again. Hey, you want to do another one? So me being a competitor, there is no football anymore. There's no other sports, you know? So it was just like, all right, well, I'm looking like I never looked before, you know? So I can't lose in real life, you know? So that's a plus. And like, I'm starting to think clear, and some of the things that I'm using as far as mindset in bodybuilding, I'm starting to use in life. So I'm starting to make better choices, you know, as far as everything. And I did a Pittsburgh show. I just brought all my trophies back, but it's not in here. And I placed third that day. It was a Pittsburgh Pro-Am. All of the famous bodybuilders were there. Phil Heath, Jay Cutler, because they do the guest posing. Now, I'm not knowing who anyone is at the time. and I'm in there loose. I didn't even know who Jim Maine was at the time. And it was one of the best shows, like fun-wise, that I've ever done. Placed third, and everybody in the building was, first they was asking me if I was pro. And I'm like, no. And they're telling me about pecs. And I'm like, what the fuck are pecs? You know, like, I don't even know what those are, you know? So they're saying you should have won. I go back home. I asked my man, hey, what you think? You think we should go to the next show? Because the next show was the show that I went pro at. And he told me he didn't think that people would know who I was. So I didn't really like that, because in my head, I was like, well, they're going to know me as the dude who should have won the last show, you know, because that's what they told me. I didn't tell them anything. You know, I don't even know these people. So I switched people that I was working with, which is Mike Davies, who's been my pretty much career coach. I work with other people, but Mike Davies is my career coach pretty much. And went to North Americans 2013 and turned pro.
That's awesome, man. I love it. Now, the first competition that you did where you got last, was that a bodybuilding competition, or was it men's physique?
It was bodybuilding. It was actually Mike Davies' show. I didn't know at the time. So it was Ohio State Championships.
Okay, cool. So then when you competed at that second show where you got third, was that men's physique then?
Yes, it was still a bodybuilding show. It was actually the President's show, but it's a Pittsburgh Pro-Am, Pittsburgh. So that was the show I got third, and I was amateur.
Okay, so then your third competition, you turned pro, right?
Yeah. Actually, it was a show that I did a week later, which I got fourth. Then the show after that, I turned pro.
Okay,
yeah.
Very cool. And then was 2013 the inception of men's physique, George?
2012.
2012. Okay, so you were right at the cusp of the beginning of that. So let's talk about then you turned pro. I'm assuming, since you didn't really know a whole lot about anything in terms of bodybuilding and competing at that time, you probably didn't even really necessarily grasp the magnitude of earning your IFBB Pro card, did you?
No, it was like, for me, they sent me a bill and was like, hey, you owe this for turning pro. You got to pay this fee. So I was like, this is not what I envisioned, but no, I definitely didn't, you know, I didn't get it. I knew I had turned pro, but I was used to winning in life, you know, so it was just like something else that I did.
Very cool. So talk about your first pro competition, your pro debut, and then obviously you've been to the Olympia 7 times. So just kind of unpack some of the highlights of your pro career, if you don't mind, for us.
Okay. First show, I believe that was Sacramento Pro in 2013. I feel like I definitely should have placed better now looking at it, you know, but it is what it is. I placed 10th, I believe. But it was my first pro show. It was actually my first time going to California, you know? So I remember I lost my food. Oh my God. It was an experience, definitely. The airline lost my food, you know? So I learned, never put your food under the plane, keep it with you at all times, you know? But it's an experience that I can't, I was like third or fourth call out. I was pissed. I get mad a lot, but it's okay. Because it gives me the fuel that I need to, you know, keep pushing. Anyway, one of my mentors, Tamara Watkins, came in and she would tell me things. She's definitely been there every step of the way. And I met Brian Epstein, who's also one of my people that I, you know, go to for advice, and a good friend. So 2014, I don't think I had any money. It cost a lot to compete. There were no sponsors, you know. I started to make different choices, so I didn't have the cash flow that I was used to. But I think I may have did one show that year. That's all I had enough money to do. 2015, we get the rolling. And I always tell young guys, you know, I know you see people who may experience some success in the beginning. In any sport, it's the third year that the athlete is sweet. I don't care if it's Aaron Rodgers, Steph Curry. You look it up. It's always going to be one LeBron James. But besides that, year 3 is when the person going to light up, if they're what they say, you know. And I started to look and do research on the guys who was Sadiq and Jason Poston. If you look at their career before that third year, they were just like, you know, I was, you know. So I took that mentality and I was like, you know, they just been doing it longer than me, but I felt like I was just as good as them, you know. And 2015 came, was the first Arnold for men's physique. I didn't have no resume, you know, but I had pictures. So you had to put in, your request to see if you would be one of the guys selected to be in it. It was in Columbus. I so happened to live in Columbus. I got in, and I placed 9th, I believe. Once again, felt like I should have placed better, but that is normal. You should be feeling like that because that gives you the drive to keep rolling. That's what some guys, they don't get it. They come to you, man, I should be placing better. You should, but keep on going back and you're going to get better and better every time you go back and, fix it. Did Pittsburgh, my next show, I believe, President's show, but now I'm a pro. Came in 2nd place to Ryan Terry. He's pretty good. I felt like I should have won, but I couldn't pose. I couldn't hold my pose long enough. And so that cost me my first win, which would have been. And then the week after that, I went to the New York Pro, which was a very big show that I didn't know at the time, and I won. So my first pro win is at the New York Pro, which is right behind the Arnold, if you would say, as far as shows in the road, Olympia, Arnold, and then the New York Pro. So once I won New York Pro, it was like, all right, it wasn't a secret. Like, I was good, and still didn't have any money, still wasn't living this life that, I thought it was going to be. But, I was learning all the lessons that I needed to learn. And I had learned all the lessons in all of the shows to be able to win a show. You think it's just, oh, man, I just look better. It takes a lot to go along with that and a lot of responsibility to say that you're a winner of a major show. And people, they just don't look at it like that. It's a business at the end of the day, and you don't have any control over who picks you, So started to learn that, was able to judge before that, under Dr. Gary Udit, who's the Mid-Atlantic Zone chairman. And so just being able to learn things from him as far as the business goes, I was doing that as I was competing and my career was taking off competing. I was still getting the other side, which at the time I didn't realize the other guys, they weren't doing that. All they were doing was competing. So that was an advantage that I had because I could kind of see how things worked full circle. And then still went out the next year, 2016, which, people say is my best year. Felt like I should have won the Arnold that year. I got second to Brandon, who's Mr. Olympia right now. And then I won my second New York Pro. And, we're off some other shows. So, I was solidified at the time. And, still learning, like I said, the business side of things, switch coaches for a second, seeing things from a different angle. When I was dealing with one person, it was one way. And then, you see other people's things that they can add, things that they do to make them good. And switch coaches again, back to Mike, because like I said, Mike is basically, he's been my, my coach, mentor for the entire career. And each of these years, I've basically won a show every year I competed. And then that's how I make it to the Olympia. 18 came, I switched over to a different coach, and that's how I got into media. Maximum Muscle Report. I was able to travel the country, and that really took my exposure to the next level. And I wasn't realizing that I was at every major show covering it. So now I cover shows, I compete in shows, and I've judged shows. I see the game different than other competitors. They only compete, so I'm realizing what content is because I'm doing media. So I'm able to take that, and then now I'm taking my brand to the next level because I'm always at a show and other people couldn't get there, so that's pretty much, kind of what it's been. It's just using everything that I've learned all the way up to this point as far as competing, and basically using it to my advantage, and also setting myself up for after, because that's what I see a lot of people. This isn't, and even in football, you see some guys, they have great careers and then they're broke, and then you see, the guys on the microphone after their career's done, so that's what I've paid attention to. Like, wait a minute, okay, this guy is pretty good, but he don't have major titles, so me realizing that along with my impact and then my influence, and still being able to have the microphone and, dictate narrative. So, making sure that I'm in all the right places, doing all the right things. Here we are today.
Awesome. Now I want to get into the business side of things in a minute, but I'm I'm kind of really dying to ask you, what was it like that first year, 2015, making your Olympia debut?
Oh man, it was cool, man. One of my friends ended up being out in Vegas, and he's a big time gambler. I went to college with. I didn't know, and so I ended up staying celebrity suite executive in Bally's. So that was cool. Man, just the experience of it, because I had never did it before. So riding on the buses, you was in arenas, it's jam packed. We were new. I was good, which goes along with it. So it was fun. And if you ever, when people do make their first Olympia, the advice that I could give them is just take the whole experience. It doesn't matter about where you place or whatever. The whole experience, and the fact that, you have one of the best bodies recognized in the world. You should just take that and just, experience it all. And that's the first one is going to be the best one, because, after a while, you kind of get used to it, or it turns more into business, so that 2015 Olympia, it was fun.
Yeah, that's very cool. So, was there a point, George, where you said, "Hey, I want to be Mr. Olympia in terms of men's physique," or were you always just kind of focused on getting better yourself and just seeing where the cards fell?
Yeah, I definitely, definitely am a champion. So I was always coming for wins. I've been winning in everything that I've done, pretty much as far as sports. So I'm always coming for the win. I'm not out here just to see where I fit in at. I left that a long time ago. So I'm coming for the win every time.
Excellent. Talk to myself and the listeners about mindset. You said once you kind of started getting into bodybuilding, you began to take the bodybuilding mindset that you were learning, and it started to carry over into everyday life. What was that mindset, and what is your mindset now, just kind of as you navigate your life experience?
Well, the mindset is the same mindset now, and that is the thing that I learned was through diet, choices. And with your body, you're either coming or you're going every single time you decide to eat something or not eat something. And so I was, it's just like that in life. If I keep taking the right steps with these meals, I'm headed in the right direction. If I keep making the right choices in life, that's what will happen. You start to see what's good for you. Okay, well, why am I going out partying? Why am I drinking? It's costing me money. It's doing whatever. That's not going to get me moving forward. So you start making those choices, and you realize that it's not really anything special that you're doing. You're just continuing to make the right choices every day. And then the biggest thing is believing in yourself. That's the biggest thing, period. Because if you don't have that, then someone is going to try to knock you off, or the universe is going to try to, throw something at you to see if you really believe, so holding yourself accountable, making sure that you're giving 100% effort. And basically, I would just say, do what you say. That'll separate you. Trust me. The pettiness of you actually every day doing what you say, you'll separate from the pack, because people don't do that.
What's in the last almost decade that you've been a pro men's physique athlete? What are some of the things within bodybuilding, within fitness, that have really changed, that you feel like have been changes for the better, for fitness, for men's physique, for bodybuilding?
Just opportunities that have came with the growth of the sport. Before, people would tell you, "Oh man, you can't make no money in bodybuilding," or "You can't do this, or you can't do that." So the criteria as far as judging on the stage may change, but in the grand scheme, to me, a body is a body, so I would say, for me, my relationships changed. That was the biggest thing. The people that I was dealing with, I started to change those type of people, and be around people that were more so where I was headed. And, to me, that's the biggest change that has happened, because you can, make criteria different as far as bodybuilding. But like I said, a body is a body, but if I continue to, if I'm changing, and I got a relationship with this person, and now this person, and now this person, and these people are where I want to be. And some of the people that I left, they may be stuck, wherever it was supposed to be for them. Then I would say that that's the biggest change for me.
So
Nothing.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying nothing as far as the league, because the league is going to change criteria. Just to put it with the NBA make new rules, but it's still the NBA the same year, So it's going to evolve as far as, competition get better and things like that. But that's why you got some of the guys who are still there, as far as, the guy that Chris Paul or LeBron or these people that last all these times. It's nothing but the decisions that they're making and the relationship that they're built, and that's why they're still there.
So talk to me about longevity, because again, you've been in the sport and the game for a long time. That's not necessarily something that we see all the time within fitness and bodybuilding. So, and you just kind of talked to me about, before we turn on the mic, you're kind of just getting back into the swing of things post Olympia. And you said that you've kind of learned what you need to do right after the Olympia to kind of keep yourself in the game. So what does that look like for you? How can you kind of share some insights for the younger listeners, maybe that are new within competing, in terms of longevity?
Longevity, I would say, just get into a repetition of something, because that is all it is. It's, once you hit a championship mindset to get you to that level, you're a champion for real. Then nothing really changes in the process of getting you back there. It's if you execute or if you don't, So just like you get up and you make your bed, or you get up and you brush your teeth, these things end up in the long run getting you longevity. Your teeth last longer, or your sheets last longer, or however it is. It's the same for a career. So new guys, they come and go. That's like in any sport, they come and go. I've seen your favorite come, I've seen your favorite go. The thing that gets me is my repetition. I'm gonna get up around 6 a.m., go through my regimen as far as taking care of myself, leave, go to the gym, say hi to the same person every single day. Hi, how you doing, Ron? That's his name. Hey, what's up, Ron? Every day you go through the same thing. And it's the repetition of that, that's success. That's what that is. It's just the repetition of it, and that's what, to me, self-care on your body, different choices. I'm not drinking, I'm not smoking, I'm not doing everything or anything that'll be detrimental. I'm not stressing out. And you just continue. It's on the person for how long they want to continue that before they say, okay, I've had enough. Let me just go chill out. That's all it is. It's just, and if you're actually good, but that same mindset could be used for anything. That's the key.
Talk to me then about business, because that's a big part of kind of like what I wanted to pull out of you, is just some insights that you have in terms of business. So taking your physique and your success on the stage, how have you been able to parlay that into business success and creating the life that you want, and not living a life that somebody else wants you to live?
It's the relationships that I built. I'm gonna have to go back on that, because if I didn't have Brian Epstein or Tamara, or people that have been along the way, and being open to receive the things that they were telling me, and then putting those things into play, then I wouldn't have some of the things that I have as far as how I can live now. You feel like you're winning on stage. You should, a person should be coming to you, offering you, but that's a different lane. Just because you went on stage doesn't mean you can sell a product. Just because you went on stage doesn't mean, just because this huge company, they're going to want you. You got to be a fit. If not, it's just business. I worked with companies where it was just business. They paid me. I made the post. That was it. Nothing came of it. At the end of the contract, all right, cool. We ain't in agreement. That's it. You're gone. So the people that I built relationships is the why I've been with the same companies who are major companies for this long. And you just, you take that, and then you use their brand along with your brand. And you build whatever you want to build. For me, I said I want to reign like Caesar. That's what I said, and I've been here for a long time, and they called me the king. I didn't give myself that name, So it's kind of whatever you ask for, and then putting the work behind it, if you're going to get there or not. But business is learning that your first contract probably is going to be your worst contract, but you got to have that first contract to get a second contract. Right. So now if you're shopping for a deal and that company comes through and they're like, hey, well, have you sold anything? You don't have anything. And I'm like, shit, I got 2 contracts sitting right here. And I made it through that contract and this contract, so and I can negotiate a little bit more at the table, because now I got some numbers to show. Well, if you won Mr. Olympia, but you ain't never sold nothing, then that company might take a risk on you, but they'll realize after 1 year, real quick, shit, we're losing money, because that's all they care about is return on their investment. And so being able to brand and then once again create relationships with people, you never know where that's going to go. You never know. No one ever knows. An opportunity can come to today. I could walk outside, somebody could say something. So it's just doing more of what you say. It's pretty much it, and then making sure you do what you're supposed to business-wise and sell. At the end of the day, it's business, so I use my influence. And, I don't back products that I don't actually use. So I'm Vital and I'm with, the other companies because I actually use the product. I know the product. And when somebody asks me about it, number one, I probably got something on hand that I can give to them. And then I'm telling them, teaching them on the product. And then I'm the, proof that the product works, so that's how it goes. You continue to create, whether you want to create for another person or create for yourself. That's on you. I can't say that. But me, I don't work. As far as like going to a place, I continue to create every day off of relationships that I built off of hard work as far as sweat equity. And then, me going out, making sure I create more opportunities.
Where did the mindset of, you said earlier, I like money, and I think most of us like money, but, not everybody is out there, maybe chasing the money, or their mindset is necessarily focused on the money. Where did that mindset come in for you? Was it when you were younger? Did you have an experience? Where did that come into play, George?
So I could say I've been me. Like, you look at people and you look at their before pictures and they was like kind of nerdy, and then they turn into the person that they was. You can go back when I'm young and I'm in pictures, you know what I mean? And I like cars. I didn't really grow up rich. I wasn't poor either. So my cousin, we had cars and we would have little car shows to this day. Like last year for my birthday, they bought me like a CL Benz and I still roll it, So I just liked, this is just me. This is who I am. The easy money that came from back. I used to always have to work on my back as far as my body part. And I didn't want to do certain things. And I'm like, man, I'm just going to get it. I'm going to get this money, man. It's easy. And then it turned into Easy Money Tuesday because that was back day. So on back day, I came in with this mentality, like, because I didn't want to like go in with negative thought. Let me go in, it's money easy. So I started talking to people and they would graduate, man, congrats, man, I'm graduating. I'm like, man, it's easy money. Yeah, all right, that's cool. But you graduated, so it kind of took like that. But it means hard work. The opposite of easy is hard, but nobody want to hear that. And the money come with the work, so that's kind of what it actually means.
Very cool, man. So the media side of things, you kind of brought that up, just sharing your story a little bit. Talk about what you do within media, and then what type of experience has that been for you?
Man, I don't see nothing but flights and hotels, no media, Think of, Charles Barkley and them, they're at every major game or whatever broadcaster, So you get to travel. And that's something that I always wanted to do. And you get to meet people, you get to actually be there with people. So if you're branding, those are relationships, But as far as the media, I started to watch people like who actually do media, and you learn the importance of it. And everyone wants to be seen, So being able to give people that exposure is how I got here. I asked JMA for NPC News Online. That was my first time doing anything. And he said, yes. And I'm like, it was the Nationals, I believe, 2017. It was in Chicago. And I all day long, I'm writing answers, like questions down. Like, shit, what am I going to think of? And I went out there and winged it. It was 3 interviews. And I learned my personality was there because I would ask a question and then they would answer it. And I had nothing. So on the fly, the camera's rolling, people are looking, and I'm like, shit, what's your favorite cereal? So they're looking at me and I'm looking at them like, answer it, So they laughing or whatever. By that time, I thought of something else, And then just me being in media, once again, you see the sport from a different viewpoint because you're actually covering it. So the way you put it out is the way people are perceiving it. And, to be able to be put in that position, it's a responsibility of his own. And I started to realize when I would be at shows, I'm in the front, dead center, so the way people look at you is different. What is he doing? How is he sitting in front of, these people? And then biggest opportunity came, like I said, working with Mandis. He taught me a lot just about the business of bodybuilding. That's what he would call it. And that's where I really, took it to the next level as far as putting out shows. And really, I used to just interview Mr Physique and would feel comfortable. But now I'm interviewing everybody, and Battle Up Productions right now, Battle of Texas, December 4th. I will be in Dallas, the Urban Convention Center, live. Freddie, Sheila, be there, be square. So it's just like that. You know what I mean? You just kind of play around with it. But I will be in Dallas, Texas, Irving to be exact, at the Irving Convention Center. And that's all it is, And what I realized is a lot of the people that have been doing it, they just do it. And it's just their way of doing it. But it's like anything, there's old school rapping and there's new rap. And so I kind of took it like that, like, all right, well, this is for me and this is how I see it. I can touch the younger generation. I can touch people my age. And as long as I, promote it the right way, then everybody will start watching. It'll be better for the sport with my influence and my impact. So it just works for me.
What is like your overall vision for yourself personally, right, George? What is that big picture vision for yourself in terms of the direction you want to go with your life and the life that you want to create for yourself?
I always said that I wanted to be a businessman. I never said a banker or, anything like that. When I was a kid, they would ask me, I never put anything on it, so I just know that one thing I asked for was to be financially stable. I got 2 daughters and it's been times that I didn't have what I needed to be able to take care of them. So that was one thing that I stood on. Like, I just want to put myself in a position to, be able to take care of them no matter what. And anything else that comes with it, I roll with it. So being an ambassador, or one thing that Tamara told me was to give people what she gave me, go work with people, because people don't work together. And so I would give out information about, what I thought. And what I've noticed a lot this year is some of the guys have done better than me as far as career. I was there before everybody. And there's not anybody pretty much that I don't help, because no matter where they go, one thing that some guys don't understand is, you could go win Mr Olympia right now. I come in last place. They're going to call me the king. So it doesn't matter to me about if you go wherever, that's where you're going, because I'm solidified in my spot and where I need to be. And what's for me is what's for me, so that's kind of how it is. I asked for a lot. Like I said, I know what I asked for. I use the patience part of it because I see a lot of people that are where they want it to be. And I'm like, shit, I know me, I ask for a lot. So if I'm in a restaurant and I come in and I order my food, it's a story I always tell. And, I sit down and 30 minutes go by and somebody else come in and they order their food. And then I see the waiter bringing them their food out. I'm gonna tap the waiter. Hey, man, what's up, man? I've been in here 30 minutes. How they get their food? Well, sir, they ordered chicken nuggets. That don't really take that long to make. You ordered, and I'm like, shit, the most gourmet shit on the menu. So I got to sit and wait. So I'm more than ready for it to come, whatever it may be. But I'm going to continue doing what I need to do as far as, being an ambassador to people and giving them my mindset. And I'm good at giving people the boost they need to go do, what they want to do. Everybody wants shit for themselves, but they don't want to help nobody else, So that's Jay Cutler and, Kai Green. Like I said, that's one thing I've seen.
How do you deal with negativity or hate or anything of that nature?
That come with anything. That come with what you call success, so we don't really focus on that. That's going to be there. People to me that focus on that, they're focusing on the wrong thing. So if you're, your whole spill is all this for a hater or that, then that's cool. But I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on people that want to, know the right way that I feel like they need to go and where I'm going. That's all I care about.
Excellent, man. So we're gonna wrap up. I wanna touch on a few more things here before we end our conversation, George. So men's physique. What do you say to anybody listening that's maybe on the on the edge of maybe getting into fitness? They see the open bodybuilder guys, they see the 212 guys, they see class physique. There's men's physique.
what's kind of like just your pitch in terms of men's physique and why that is something people should actually look at as opposed to always focusing just on bodybuilding?
No shade to the other divisions. You know, we're what every guy wants to be and what every girl likes. You know, so it's one of the hottest divisions because of that look. That's just what it is. If you look on any type of advertising or anything in business, like I said, they're not using, maybe for one time, but they're not using different body types than those of a men's physique body type. If you look at actors, actresses, it's those divisions, and that's why those divisions are popular. That's why I picked it, because I like to look good in a suit. And I ain't talking about a big closet, you know. I want to be tailor-made and look like James Bond, you know. So, you know, I'm from men's physique. I represent it. And, you know, if you want to come on, I would tell you to come on. It's a very competitive division. Get with someone who knows what they're doing as far as your body, and execute, because it's not getting no easier. You know, don't expect everything to come all at once. Anything that you already know, you know, but just start taking your steps, and, you know, be prepared to pay whatever fee that is. People, and I ain't talking about money, you know, whoever you're looking at, they paid 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years before they got their break. But in those years, they learned the lessons that they needed to learn, you know, or they built whatever they needed to build foundation wise for them to go wherever they're going, you know. So pick men's physique because we the best. That's it. The more we get to advertise, the more tickets we'll be able to show that we can sell. But bodybuilders are the meat and the potatoes. They the ones who sell the tickets. At the end of the day, they filling the arena up. When it comes to, you know, the Olympia and the major shows, the men's physique division is hot. The bodybuilding division sells tickets. This is business. And that's what it comes down to. So, you know, I can't look like them. They can't look like us. But at the end of the day, they can command whatever it is for a VIP seat out in Vegas for a sold out arena. We ain't doing that. And until we ain't doing, until we are, we need to go ahead and sit back where we at. And that's, you know, what I have to say for the men's, on behalf of the men's physique division.
So straight out of the king's mouth, right?
Absolutely.
Social media, I want to touch on that quickly, because that's obviously changed a lot in our world, not just within the fitness industry. How have you utilized social media to your benefit, to grow your platform and to make more money?
You got to learn it. And a lot of people are good at it, you know, so it's all content. So for me, because I do so much media and the companies that I work with, I have unique content. I'm standing on mountains and I'm places that you can't be. And my impact as far as men's physique goes, you know, I got a move called the X-Man. If you haven't heard of it, it gets used a lot. So that shows me my influence and my impact. And, you know, using the platform of social media, it's able to keep boosting out and do that. It started in 15 and it's 2022 and 2021. And like, I got my last 3 tag poses is the X-Man, you know? So I started it, they was doing it before, but they said I posed too smooth. So the reason why I was doing that was to try to hit some flexes. And I never forget the next show, I looked up and, you know, Ryan Terry was next to me doing it. I'm Ryan, what are you doing? That's my move, you know? And so it was irritating at first. And then I realized, you know, like, well, I can use this a different way. And so I put all of your favorite people on like a video. And I was like, you know, this is the X-Man used by, and I use them. And then just they're still doing it, you know? So social media is everything. It's easy. It's easy money. It's pill.com, long live the king. And it's free. If you're not using it to your advantage, if you are trying to make money, then you're late. You know, and you should, because it's the future. It's the reason why you can run a business in your hand if you know, utilize it the right way. So it's been working for me, and I'm gonna keep on using it.
Dark Sport, that's one of your sponsors, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about that community, because obviously I see some pictures with Dexter and Lavroni, and looks like some of the old school combined with the new school. Just talk about that brand, that company, and what you guys stand for and what you're all about.
That's the Then Now and Forever collection. That drops on the 25th. and it is what it is. You see Chris Cormier and all the other guys stand, and it just shows from the beginning, which is Aria, Andre Ferguson, some of those guys. I'm kind of like in the middle because in the beginning I didn't know about social media, But Dark is, it's a good company to work with, man. You can see their vision and how they market things, and then they have a hot product, So just being able to be around the guys, kind of at first I didn't know what it was, but it's a group of guys that all have something different to add to the puzzle. So when you're with all the guys, man, it's cool. You got stories from all over the world, pretty much, and to be a part of that company has also helped me out tremendously, and it's fun. Once again, you get to travel, you get cool clothes all the time, and you get to be a part of something. So it's kind of like a team. I've always been with teams, and so, I think it's cool to be a part of, and that's why they're growing and having success.
Excellent. All right. So from your perspective, the greatest men's physique Olympia champion of all time up to this point?
That's a good question, man. Ain't nobody asked that. My dog, shout out to Raymond Edmonds, 2019 Mr. Olympia. I'm gonna roll with my dude. I got to. That's my dude, you know what I mean? So posing, presentation, commanding the stage, getting a day named after herself, in Pittsburgh, City of Champions, bodybuilding is Pittsburgh, the Yam God, my dog, Raymond Edmonds. No shade to none of the other guys. I would have to pick him. He's in a battle with Brandon right now, but he's beat Brandon, so we can go right there. And I think Jeremy and Mark Anthony, shout out to Mark Anthony too. He's had a lot to do with the business. Mark was just the first, so it's always going to evolve. But Mark is still here business-wise. Like I said, shout out to Mark Anthony. He told me a couple things. Still do. Last time I seen him, Pittsburgh, with the president. Sorry. But Jeremy, he's got the 4, and you can't knock that, But Ray wasn't there pretty much. And, Ray's presence, and if I'm going with Jeremy, who's a shorter guy, and Ray's a taller guy, huge shoulders, broad chest, like I said, the whole number, the greatest ever. And if you look at his record, he got one of the best records ever too. He's got multiple Pittsburgh. I think he got 3 or 4. He's got a New York Pro. He's got multiple runner-up Arnolds. Raymond Edmonds. You heard it here first.
Love it, man. All right, I got 2 final questions for you. First one, just some words that you would speak to George, yourself, back when you were, let's say 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, just maybe a piece of advice that you give your younger self at that point in your life.
A piece of advice. Just keep doing what you're doing, man. I wouldn't really change it. I lived a great life, man. I ain't really got nothing to say. I probably winked at him and he probably winked back, because that's just the type, that's just how I am, So I never had, like I said, my mom put that in me, as far as confidence. You never let a person take it personal, ever, and so self-belief, and that's where I am today. That's why I'm here, so you couldn't really tell me anything different. The experiences that I went through, that's life. It would have been something else if I tried to change it, so I probably tip my hat, wait for my hat tip back. He probably smiled goofy. And then, that's it. I love it right now. I ain't got no complaints, none.
A young king, man, just give him a wink, right?
Yeah, that's it. It ain't really nothing else to it, man. You got it,
Okay, last question I have for you, George. How did becoming a dad change your life, and what does it mean to you to have your 2 daughters and to be a dad?
Well, like I said, that's the reason why I get up every day, to make sure that, financially, I can do everything that I can to make sure they're good. What it taught me is that I don't want people to take this the wrong way, but all women are little girls. I never looked at it like that until I had one. I was like, this is a small woman. I treat her the same way I treat my girl, So it taught me how to be a little bit more sensitive, you know, and you know, taught me the responsibility. I had my first kid young, you know, so she's doing well right now. She does hair. She's a little hustler, so she likes money also, you know, but she's competitive. And my young one, she's still trying to find herself, you know. So she's gonna come along, you know, and it's cool right now because I'm not like 60, you know. So like when people are just now having kids, like my kids are grown, you know, but they're my inspiration, and you know, I make sure I do everything that I can for them, and it just gave me something to live for.
Beautiful, man. All right. I want to first of all thank you, George, for taking some time out of your full schedule just to chop it up with me, share your story. It's greatly appreciated. If you would like to share anything in closing, any final words or thoughts with myself and listeners, that would be cool. And then where can people follow along? Where can people find you? Where can people connect with you?
You can follow me at Instagram, King George Brown. I got my website and everything is on there as far as merchandise, things like that. Thank you for having me on. You know, I like to tell my story or whatever, hoping to inspire people. And thanks to all my sponsors and everybody who supported me along the way. It's too many people to say, but sponsors, Vital Proteins, Protan, Icon Mills, Get Flawless. I hope I ain't forgetting nobody. Oh, Dark Sport. Just there's a couple of them, but you know, it's a lot of people that have helped me get to this point. And like I said, today's my first day kind of going right back to push it out even more, you know, because some of the guys are watching me as far as what I'm doing in media, and I'm just, you know, in uncharted territory as far as where we can take men's physique, you know, and that's where it is.
Excellent, man. Thank you again, George. It's greatly appreciated. Those of you that are listening, those of you that are tuning in through YouTube, I just want to say thank you so very much once again for joining us on another episode of Behind the Muscle Podcast.
Froze up on me.
I just want to ask you guys 3 things. If you guys would just make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're tuning in through YouTube, that would be greatly appreciated. The second thing, why don't you leave a comment?
There we go.
Yeah, we're all good to go there, George. Let me I'm just gonna hit